afternoon, and welcome to the announcement of the 2020 Pulitzer Prizes. My name is Dana Canedy, and I'm the administrator of the Pulitzers. In the past, we have announced the prizes from Columbia University's Journalism School following the Pulitzer Board's selection of winners. This year, of course, is different. I'm speaking to you today from my living room, following days of rigorous virtual and digital debate, discussion, and contemplation among our board as they selected this year's winners in 15 journalism and 7 arts and letters categories. It goes without saying that today we announce the Pulitzer winners in deeply trying times. Ironically, the first time the prizes were presented was June 1917, less than a year before the 1918 outbreak of the Spanish flu pandemic. Throughout America's greatest challenges, 2 world wars, the Depression, the Vietnam War, the assassinations of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and President John F. Kennedy, as well as 9/11, the Pulitzer Prizes have continued to celebrate excellence in journalism and arts and letters, because in difficult times, the Pulitzers may be more important than ever. During this season of unprecedented uncertainty, one thing we know for sure is that journalism never stops. And much like our courageous first responders and frontline healthcare workers, journalists are running toward the fire. Despite relentless assaults on objective truth, coordinated efforts to undermine our nation's free press, and persistent economic headwinds, journalists continue to pursue and deliver essential facts and truths to keep us safe and to protect our democracy. They are risking and far too often losing their lives at a time when their words, their images, and their revelations are more necessary to our democracy than ever. We also know that the arts have the power to sustain, unite, and inspire us during times of uncertainty and fear. Many are finding needed distraction in the pages of a book, solace in a beautiful song, comfort in a poem, and joy in a recorded theatrical performance. And while theaters across the nation are now dark, we know that their lights will shine brightly once again. And although we are facing challenging times and are physically distanced, journalism and the arts and letters will endure. And for another century, the Pulitzer Prizes will continue to celebrate the best of their work. With that in mind, I am proud to announce the 104th class of Pulitzer Prize winners. In the journalism category, for breaking news reporting, the finalists are the staff of the Courier-Journal, Louisville, Kentucky, the staff of the Los Angeles Times, the staff of the Washington Post. The prize is awarded to the staff of the Courier-Journal for its rapid coverage of hundreds of last-minute pardons by Kentucky's governor, showing how the process was marked by opacity, racial disparities, and violations of legal norms. For investigative reporting, the finalists are Jay Hancock and Elizabeth Lucas of Kaiser Health News, Brian M. Rosenthal of the New York Times, the staff of the Wall Street Journal. The prize is awarded to Brian M. Rosenthal of the New York Times for an expose of New York City's taxi industry that showed how lenders profited from predatory loans that shattered the lives of vulnerable drivers, reporting that ultimately led to state and federal investigations and sweeping reforms. For explanatory reporting, the finalists are Rosanna Shah, Shawatha Cannon, and Terry Castleman of the Los Angeles Times, the staff of Reveal from the Center for Investigative Reporting, and the staff of the Washington Post. The prize is awarded to the staff of the Washington Post for a groundbreaking series that showed with scientific clarity the dire effects of extreme temperatures on the planet. For local reporting, the finalists are the staff of the Baltimore Sun, the staff of the Boston Globe, Peter Smith, Stephanie Strasberg, and Shelley Bradbury of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. The prize is awarded to the staff of the Baltimore Sun for illuminating, impactful reporting on a lucrative, undisclosed financial relationship between the city's mayor and the public hospital system she helped to oversee. For national reporting, the finalists are T. Christian Miller, Megan Rose, and Robert Federecci of ProPublica, Dominic Gates, Steve Militich, Mike Baker, and Louis Kam of the Seattle Times, the staff of the Wall Street Journal. We have two winners in this category. The prize is awarded to T. Christian Miller, Megan Rose, and Robert Federecci of ProPublica for their investigation into America's Seventh Fleet after a series of deadly naval accidents in the Pacific. A second prize is awarded to Dominic Gates, Steve Miletich, Mike Baker, and Louis Cam of the Seattle Times for groundbreaking stories that exposed design flaws in the Boeing 737 MAX that led to two deadly crashes and revealed failures in government oversight. For international reporting, the finalists are the New York Times on Vladimir Putin's regime, the New York Times on China's treatment of Muslims, the staff of Reuters. The prize is awarded to the staff of the New York Times for a set of enthralling stories reported at great risk, exposing the predations of Vladimir Putin's regime. For feature writing, the finalists are Nestor Ramos of the Boston Globe, Ellen Berry of the New York Times, Chloe Cooper-Jones, a freelancer for The Verge, Ben Taub of The New Yorker. And the prize is awarded to Ben Taub of The New Yorker for a devastating account of a man who was kidnapped, tortured, and deprived of his liberty for more than a decade at Guantanamo Bay Detention Facility, blending on-the-ground reporting and lyrical prose to offer a nuanced perspective on America's wider war on terror. For commentary, the finalists are Steve Lopez of the Los Angeles Times, Nicole Hannah-Jones of the New York Times, Sally Jenkins of the Washington Post. And the prize is awarded to Nicole Hannah-Jones of the New York Times for a sweeping, provocative, and personal essay for the groundbreaking 1619 Project that placed the enslavement of Africans at the center of America's formation, prompting reflection and conversation about the Founding Fathers. For criticism, the finalists are Christopher Knight of the Los Angeles Times, Justin Davidson of New York Magazine, Soraya Nadia McDonald of The Undefeated. The prize is awarded to Christopher Knight of the Los Angeles Times for work demonstrating extraordinary community service by a critic, applying his expertise and enterprise to critique a proposed overhaul of the LA County Museum of Art and its effect on the institution's mission. For editorial writing, the finalists are Melinda Hinberger of the Kansas City Star, Jeffrey Garrett of the Palestine Herald Press, Jill Burkham of the Star Tribune. The prize is awarded to Jeffrey Garrett of the Palestine Herald Press for editorials that exposed how pretrial inmates died horrific deaths in a small Texas county jail, reflecting a rising trend across the state, and courageously took on the local sheriff and judicial establishment, which tried to cover up these needless tragedies. For editorial cartooning, the finalists are Lalo Alcaraz, freelancer, Matt Bors of The Nib, Kevin Callagher, freelancer, Barry Blitt, contributor, The New Yorker. And the prize is awarded to Barry Blitt, contributor, The New Yorker, for work that skewers the personalities and policies emanating from the Trump White House with deceptively sweet watercolor style and seemingly gentle caricatures. For breaking news photography, the finalists are Dio Nalio-Cherry and Rebecca Blackwell of the Associated Press, Tom Fox of the Dallas Morning News, the photography staff of Reuters. The prize is awarded to the photography staff of Reuters for wide-ranging and illuminating photographs of Hong Kong as citizens protested infringement of their civil liberties and defended the region's autonomy by the Chinese government. For feature photography, the finalists are Chania Nan, Mukhtar Khan, and Dar Yassin of the Associated Press, Aaron Clark of the Boston Globe, Mary F. Calvert, freelancer. The prize is awarded to Chani Anand, Mukhtar Khan, and Dar Yassin of the Associated Press for striking images of life in the contested territory of Kashmir as India revoked its independence, executed through a communications blackout. And in our inaugural year for an audio journalism prize, the finalists for audio reporting are Nigel Poor, Erlon Woods, and Rashawn Thomas for Ear Hustle. Andrew Beck Grace, Chip Brantley, Graham Smith, Nicole Beamstabor, and Robert Little of NPR for White Lies. This American Life with Molly O'Toole of the Los Angeles Times and Emily Green of Vice News for The Outcrowd. The prize is awarded to This American Life with Molly O'Toole of the Los Angeles Times and Emily Green of Vice News for The Outcrowd, revelatory intimate journalism that illuminates the personal impact of the Trump administration's Remain in Mexico policy. For public service, the finalists are the Anchorage Daily News in collaboration with ProPublica, the New York Times, the Washington Post. The prize is awarded to the Anchorage Daily News in collaboration with ProPublica for a riveting series that revealed a third of Alaska's villages had no police protection, took authorities to task for decades of neglect, and spurred an influx of money and legislative changes. And now, the prizes for arts and letters. For drama, the finalists are Heroes of the Fourth Turning by Will Arbery, Soft Power by David Henry Wang and Janine Tassari, A Strange Loop by Michael R. Jackson. The prize is awarded to A Strange Loop, book, music, and lyrics by Michael R. Jackson, a metafictional musical that tracks the creative process of an artist transforming issues of identity, race, and sexuality that once pushed him to the margins of the cultural mainstream into a meditation on universal human fears and insecurities. For history, the finalists are The End of the Myth by Greg Grandin, Sweet Taste of Liberty by W. Caleb McDaniel, Race for Profit by Kianga Yamata Taylor. The prize is awarded to Sweet Taste of Liberty by W. Caleb McDaniel, a masterfully researched meditation on reparations based on the remarkable story of a 19th century woman who survived kidnapping and re-enslavement to sue her captor. For biography, the finalists are Parisian Lives by Deirdre Bair, Sontag, Her Life and Work by Benjamin Moser, Our Man Richard Holbrooke and the End of the American Century by George Packer. The prize is awarded to Sontag, Her Life and Work by Benjamin Moser, an authoritatively constructed work told with pathos and grace that captures the writer's genius and humanity alongside her addictions, sexual ambiguities, and volatile enthusiasms. For poetry, the finalists are The Tradition by Jericho Brown, Only as the Day is Long, New and Selected Poems by Dorianne Lowe, Dunce by Mary Ruefle, and the prize is awarded to The Tradition by Jericho Brown, a collection of masterful lyrics that combine delicacy and historical urgency in their loving evocation of bodies vulnerable to hostility and violence. For general nonfiction, the finalists are Elderhood by Louise Aronson, The Undying by Anne Boyer, Solitary by Albert Woodfox with Leslie George, The End of the Myth by Greg Grandin. There are two winners in general nonfiction. They are The Undying by Anne Boyer, an elegant and unforgettable narrative about the brutality of illness and the capitalism of cancer care in America, and The End of the Myth by Greg Grandin, a sweeping and beautifully written book that probes the American myth of boundless expansion and provides a compelling context for thinking about the current political moment. For music, the finalists are The Central Park Five by Anthony Davis, Sky Concerto for Violin by Michael Torkey, and All the Days Were Purple by Alex Weiser. The prize is awarded to The Central Park Five by Anthony Davis, premiered at Long Beach Opera, a courageous operatic work marked by powerful vocal writing and sensitive orchestration that skillfully transforms a notorious example of contemporary injustice into something empathetic and hopeful. Libretto by Richard Wellesley. For fiction, the finalists are The Topeka School by Ben Lerner, The Dutch House by Ann Patchett, The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead. The prize is awarded to The Nickel Boys by Colson Whitehead, a spare and devastating exploration of abuse at a reform school in Jim Crow-era Florida that is ultimately a powerful tale of human perseverance, dignity, and redemption. In addition to these awards, the Pulitzer Prize Board is pleased to award posthumously a special citation to Ida B. Wells for her formidable and courageous reporting on the horrific and vicious violence against African Americans during the era of lynching. The citation comes with a bequest by the Pulitzer Prize Board of at least $50,000 in support of her mission. Recipients will be announced at a later date. This concludes the announcement of the 2020 Pulitzer Prizes. Congratulations to all of our winners.